Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. This is Carmen Lessig from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. I am the placemaking manager here at IHCDA, and I oversee the My Community, My Vision program. I wanted to let you know that if you have any questions or comments, you can write them in to the webinar. There should be a place that you can type in questions. And then also at the end of the webinar, we can ask questions verbally if you would like. I am recording this and hope to post it on our website after the webinar so that you can have access to it, or other people in your community or potential group can have access to it as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you for participating in the webinar today. Again, my name is Carmen Lessig, and we'll go over the My Community, My Vision program for the 2019-2020 program year during this webinar. So here's a quick look at today's agenda. We'll talk about an overview of what the My Community, My Vision program is. We'll also talk about the My Community, My Vision partners and anticipated outcomes of the program in general, and some of the outcomes that we hope you can expect if you participate. We'll talk about the program year and the process and what it means as far as commitment and how the program year goes, so you have an idea from the outset about what to expect. We'll also talk about how to apply for the program this coming school year. I'm going to check real quick and make sure. Okay. So the My Community, My Vision program for this coming school year, which is this coming program year, which runs concurrently with the school year, is the 2019-2020 program year, and that is the 6th program year for My Community, My Vision. The program started in 2014 as a response to population loss in Indiana, kind of trying to address the brain drain issue that we have, where high school students and graduated college students tend to leave the state or leave hometowns for bigger cities within Indiana. So trying to help combat that issue a little bit with this program. The overall program goal, in addition, is to involve youth in their communities so that they stay in Indiana or stay in their hometowns. The program partners are IUPUI School of Public and Environmental Affairs, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, which is where I work, local governments, local schools, and high school aged youth, and also Accelerating Indiana Municipalities, also known as AIM, has been a program partner this year, and we hope that they will be a program partner next school year as well. So at the end of the program year, again, we'll go through the process and everything a little bit later, but at the end of the year, when you go through this program, what you will receive is a youth-led community vision plan and $5,000 in grant funding to implement a project from that plan. We'll go through the specifics of the program later and what all of that means in greater detail, but I wanted to be upfront about those are the two things, the two tangible items that you will receive as part of participating in the My Community, My Vision program. So who is involved? This is a program that has a lot of, a lot of partnerships is one way to say it. There's a lot of moving pieces. So IHCDA is the state agency. We're the sponsor, the program creator. We are the ones that fund the program. So I am the program administrator, and I sort of oversee everything from a high level. There are 5 student groups, which I'm assuming if you're on this call, you're thinking about applying. So you would be over one of the student groups potentially. So up to 5 student groups get chosen to participate in the program each year. Each group has one or more adult leader who is our main point of contact. So at the community level, we have an adult leader, and it actually works better if there's 2 adult leaders, but we'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the application materials. And they have a student group that they're in charge of that participates in the program. Each high school group is paired with an IUPUI SPIA graduate student, and then the graduate student is really the ones who are spearheading this program for you guys at the local level. They're the ones who are going to guide the high school students on what community development means. They're the ones who will help create the plan. They'll host the meetings, and they're overseen by a professor at IUPUI who helps guide them on how to guide the students. So it's a real learning opportunity, not only for the high school students, but for the IUPUI graduate students to get real life experience working with constituents and local units of government, and then also high school youth. So ideally, the local government is also part of the process. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about who the applicant is, but the local government should be part of this process as well. Ideally, they are the ones who will create and maintain the student group along with the adult leader. That's not absolutely necessary, but it's ideal because, as you'll see later in the presentation, we're creating community plans. So we would like if the local government had buy-in to those community plans, and we're creating a project that is actually a real project to be implemented in the community. So it's nice if the government is part of that process. So like I said, ideally they're the applicant, not 100% necessary. They're at least consulted in the planning process for those reasons that I already said, that they are aware of what's happening and that they can be part of working with the high school students too. Again, we'll talk about some of those benefits in a couple of other slides. So it's also nice if the local government adopts the plan that the students create throughout the My Community, My Vision process. We've had several communities in the past incorporate it into their comprehensive plan at either the county level or the community level, or adopt it separately so that it's a real plan that the government uses to keep moving forward positive development in their community. And it's really cool if the high school students, if that happens, because the high school students get to feel like, and they were, part of a real government process that leads to real projects. So they have some buy-in in their community. And the local government ideally will help with the project, that $5,000 project. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I talked about Accelerate Indiana Municipalities, otherwise known as AIM. This year, for the 2018-2019 program year that we're getting ready to wrap up right now, our students participated in the Youth Council Summit this past February down in Bloomington. That's typically only for mayor's youth councils. 3 of our groups this year are mayor's youth councils and 2 are high school groups. So for those 2 that aren't mayor's youth councils, they got to participate in this really cool event in February that talked about leadership and community development and ways for students to really help build themselves and build their communities up. And then also AIM puts on a state legislative day, which again is usually only for mayor's youth councils. This year, all of our My Community, My Vision student groups are participating in that day, and that's when they are going to present their final plans and their final project ideas. Again, we'll talk about the timeline in just a minute. This is the overall program process. I wanted to talk to you guys about this again. So if you're thinking about applying, I want to be very transparent about what the process is. If you are a teacher this process, I highly encourage you to be involved in it, and we can talk one-on-one later. It can be a little bit daunting on top of all the other work that you do as teachers, because I know you're very busy. But if you incorporate, I have seen that if this is incorporated into a class as a class project, it's much easier to do. And I think it's been really effective for talking about things like social studies and government work and things like that, because it's a real life experience. So the process is right now or during the summer, students would be exploring their vision for their community. What does their community look like right now? If their community could look like anything in their wildest dreams that would make them love their community more than any other community, what would that look like? What's there? What's missing? A lot of that is very preliminary. We just want those conversations to be started so that if you are chosen as a My Community, My Vision group, that you are kind of able to hit the ground running because you've already had those preliminary discussions. As part of the application process, what you'll do is write a 5-page essay. We'll go into those requirements in more detail in a couple slides, but they'll take that exploration of the vision and they'll explain it in a 5-page essay. That's the application. Chosen high school groups are then will spend the program year, which is September through April, working with the IUPUI graduate student to create that plan. There'll be several brainstorming and working meetings with IUPUI. We require that there'll be at least 6 meetings. Most of the time those are in person. Sometimes if you can do a conference call, we'll do that, but all of that is worked out with a graduate student at the very beginning of the program year in September after you guys meet and start having those initial conversations. There'll be 3 statewide meetings where all the My Community, My Vision groups are together. And then I also expect that either as part of those IUPUI graduate meetings or as a separate meeting that the high school students, the My Community, My Vision high school students groups will meet with public and local officials to get public input into their plan. The presentation of the final plans to other My Community, My Vision groups, IHCDA staff, and elected officials will happen in April. You'll work with the local government to adopt the plan if that's something that if the local government feels like that they can do and that you have the time to do. And then during that whole process, you guys will also be talking about a project that you would like to implement, and that should be implemented by the fall of 2020. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, but that's just something you guys will plan on during the school year, and then IHCDA will help implement during the summer. So some of the outcomes that we, basically the reason why we have this program is that we really want to try to empower the youth. We want to educate and engage the youth in their community. And then we also want to promote Indiana's communities. We want to promote your community if you're part of this program. So youth empowerment, this program is really an opportunity for youth to think critically about their community. Most of us just live in a community and they don't think about why or how things are the way they are. How did that old building become vacant, or how did that vacant building become rehabbed into a coffee house? Or, why is my school, why can't I walk to it, when our neighborhood is right across the street? Those kinds of things where we're just moving through our community but not really thinking about why did things become that way, or on the other end of that, like, what if we did this thing differently? What if we could do this thing in our community? Why can't we? And they get to explore those kinds of questions too. We encourage youth to develop a future vision for their hometown. Again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but we really want our youth to stay. I mean, that's the future of Indiana. That's the future of our communities. So we want to encourage them and help them make their community what they think it should be. So it's really about listening to them and getting their vision and their thoughts and their dreams into a plan that the local government can use to implement some of that stuff. We want to encourage long-term respect and community or commitment to the community through the implementation of a real community project. That $5,000 project, the $5,000 we're giving you for a project, the hope is that, you know, the project, they work hard on that project, it comes to life, and one day they can say, I helped do that. So there's a sense of pride and there's a sense of respect that, like, they had a real hand in doing something in their community. It also gives them a chance to develop leadership skills because they're talking to IUPUI staff, they're talking to local government. For some of these students, that's the first time that they've got to really have a real say and have people listen to them on a serious level. It highlights the youth in your community. You're making them the stars. You know, they are what this program is about, and so you get to highlight that, you know, this is who we care about in our community. And then, you know, in that same vein, we get to demonstrate to local leadership that the youth just aren't kids, right? They're not just high school students. They have actual ideas. They have good ideas, and they have the ability to really do something positive in their community. They're credible constituents in their community. It's also about youth engagement and education, okay? So we're educating the youth about how their town came to be the way that it is, like I talked about in the very first bullet point on this slide. And we're teaching transferable project development skills. So the skills they learn in this program, you know, they're learning to think critically, they're learning to do data research, they're learning how to write, they're learning presentation skills. Those are skills that will be transferable to any kind of career that they will do in their future. It will look good on their resume for college applications and jobs. Really, it's an opportunity for them to hone some skills that maybe they haven't got to work on that much through traditional educational outlets. Engage the youth in government and the project development process. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the high school students have never developed a project before. So this is an opportunity for them to learn about what is a budget, how do you look at a site, who is our partner in making this possible. You know, none of these things are done by one group only typically. So giving them a way to learn about what approvals do they need in the government. Like, you can't just build something. So learning about how those processes work. And then also they get to learn about social topics, career possibilities, and future ways to be engaged in their community past this program. Finally, we like to say that this program helps promote Indiana's communities. We want to encourage the youth to stay or return to their hometowns by making them stakeholders in their community, by making them feel like that they are important and that they need to come back and help maintain the momentum that they've, you know, started with this project. And we're also promoting Indiana's rural communities as areas of destination. So we try to promote this program on social media. The Lieutenant Governor is aware of it. There are other communities that participate. So you get to highlight what's cool about your community, why should people visit, why should people care about your community. There's a level of the spotlight put on your community when you are able to be a part of this program. And also it gives us the opportunity to give insight to rural communities and attracting and retaining youth and young families. For example, we did that AIM Youth Summit in Bloomington that I talked about earlier, and one of the ways that the My Community, My Vision groups, they got to sit around with other high school groups from other rural communities and talk about, you know, what it is they like about their communities, what it is they don't like, how we could be working on their communities to help them stay and enjoy their communities better. So, you know, it's an opportunity for adults in leadership roles to really listen to the community members and get an idea of, you know, what it is we should be working on. And then you'll get to promote your community and school by, you know, working on the plan and highlighting the $5,000 project in your community. This is a snapshot of the 2019-2020 program year timeline. Right now, today is when we are having the first program webinar and the application officially opens. I'll show you on our website in a couple slides where those materials are. But I will be accepting applications anywhere from today all the way until September 9th, 2019 by 5 p.m. That's a Monday. All the application materials will be due. We will have a very quick turnaround and we'll announce the program participants the following Friday by 5 p.m. We'll do that probably with a press release and a phone call or email to your community, whoever is the applicant. We will have a kickoff meeting on September 28th. That is a Saturday. So when I said that there are 3 statewide group meetings that you're required to attend, this is the first all-group meeting. And then during October to March is when you'll be in that plan development stage with your IUPUI graduate student and your My Community, My Vision group. So you'll meet, that's the minimum 6 times to meet. From what I understand, typically there's about 1 to 2 hours per week that the adult leader in the group will sort of meet and on their own or as part of that IUPUI graduate student mentor meeting where you'll continue work on the project and the plan. Mid-April 2020 will be that final meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. In February, March of 2020 will be the second all-group meeting. That is to be determined on what kind of meeting that is, but typically it's been either with IUPUI as a way to all get together and gauge the process or gauge the progress on the process. This year we held it with that AIM Youth Council Summit Day, where it was more about just participating in the leadership council than really focusing on My Community, My Vision, although we did have a My Community, My Vision presentation during that summit. And then mid-April 2020 is that final third all-group meeting. That is when the students present their plans to the entire group. We talk about the project. We have a lunch. It's a celebration of, the program is over. We did all this hard work, and we all get to hear about the projects and the plans that were worked on during the school year. And then from that point until October of 2020 is when you guys, the community, would work on implementing that $5,000 project. So again, a little bit about the commitment. I've talked about this in several other slides, but just again in the spirit of transparency, so what the program is all about, there will be 3 statewide meetings, that kickoff meeting, 1 midterm event, and the final event. You'll meet about 1 to 2 hours per week with the local adult leader, and then at least 6 one-on-one meetings with the IUPUI graduate student. And during that plan process, you'll also work on the planning steps for the $5,000 project. You'll present the final plans in April of 2020. That meeting will be in Indianapolis at IUPUI probably. And then the community and partners will continue to work on implementing their $5,000 project during the summer and fall of 2020. I know that this is hard to see, but I will post a hard copy of this presentation, a PDF copy, on our website. And then I'm hoping that this is recording, and I will also put the recording on our website. But this is the website. I'll have the link at a later slide, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like. It's under Placemaking Indiana on the IHCDA website, which is on the state government website. You can link to it from there. And this is where all the application materials are, and I will go over those right now. these are the application documents and requirements. So you have to submit these to pass basically threshold, I guess, and we'll talk about what that means in a minute. But you have to submit the essay. You have to submit signed commitment pledges for all participants, that's students and adults at your group. You have to submit signed photographic consent and release forms. That's for all participants in the group. That's basically just saying if we take a picture of you at one of the events that we can post it on our social media. And then I also have a participant spreadsheet. So we want that turned in with the students' names and grades. And we also ask for t-shirt sizes. That's because we order t-shirts for everybody long sleeve t-shirts for everybody who's participating, in case you think that that's weird that I asked for that. It's only because we want to give them to you at the kickoff event and we want to order them right away. So the essay, let's talk about the essay for a minute. It's a maximum of 5 pages, and that's just the essay. That doesn't include those commitment forms that you're required to submit. Those are outside of that 5-page essay limit. But the bullet points on this slide are what is required to be in the essay. So we want to hear a little bit about what your community is like now and what it is you would like it to look like in the future. What's there? What is it missing? What are the strengths, the weaknesses? What are the things that you could see that you could build on? So some of those positive assets. What are some slight demographics, like who is living in your community? What demographics are missing? What kind of businesses are there? What kind of businesses are missing? It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to do a whole bunch of research, but just generally, what is it like now? So I can get a sense of what is it like and what do you want it to look like in the future, which is that second bullet point, why the community will benefit from a youth-led plan and a project. So just tell me why. Why do you want to be a part of the program? How is it going to be beneficial for your high school youth to participate in it? I also want you to tell me a little bit about the group. Is this a Mayor's Youth Council group? Is it an FFA group? Is it a high school class group? Who are your students? Have you guys done projects in the past? What kinds of things have you worked on together previously? That kind of thing. Also, I want a description of the student participation plan. And this really means like, okay, if you are a class, you're going to meet every Wednesday afternoon for an hour to work on your My Community, My Vision plan. If you're a Mayor's Youth Council, maybe you guys meet on Saturday mornings. Like, just tell me kind of the idea of how you envision meeting as a group. And then how will the local unit of government support the process? If the local government is not the actual applicant, how are you, as the student group, going to involve them? How will they be a support for you? If the local government is the applicant, again, still explain to me how they are going to support the student group. And then I'd also like to see some preliminary ideas of how the $5,000 project funding will be used. I do just want to point out that I put in there non-binding. It's not at this point, if you guys have to change your mind, that is completely fine. In fact, that's part of it. I work in the real estate department here at IHCDA, so I know that projects from project idea stage to project completion often looks different, and that's because we live in the real world and we can't change things like site ownership, or if you find something under the ground, or you don't have enough money, or the main person who was working on it got a new job, or the weather. There's all kinds of things that can change project ideas. That's okay. I just want to make sure that you guys have kind of started those conversations and that there is excitement about this project and some very preliminary ideas. So this year, again, in the spirit of being transparent, I wanted to go over just quickly, and we don't have too many more slides left. I know we're all very busy, but I wanted to go over quickly the scoring. So when we get the essays and the other application documents in, like I said, it's a pretty fast turnaround. And we do that because we're working with a lot of different school schedules. So I always try to make the application due after Labor Day. By that point, everybody's in school, but we do need to start working on the program very quickly so that we're not wasting any time during the school year, you know, working on the plan and the project. So we do have a scoring rubric so that we can make our decisions very thoroughly and quickly, and I wanted to share that with you. So there are 48 points possible. We look at it on a point scale. You get 24 points for the essay. Did you follow the directions on what should be in the essay? You get 21 points for threshold, and then there are 3 possible bonus points, resulting in 48 points possible maximum. The next bullet point talks about the essay requirements, and basically we have a rubric. So these bullet points are what I already explained in the previous slide. But basically you get 1 to 4 points. So for each bullet point, did you give me a community description? What are the demographics? What does the community look like? What are some strengths and some opportunities? What are some weaknesses? What are some proposed areas of improvement that you guys have been talking about? If that is described in a very thorough and insightful way, you get 4 points. If you didn't include that at all, you get 1. And then same for each of the following bullet points. Again, I already described all that. It's just in a little bit more detail, so I won't go over those essay requirements again. This is the threshold requirements, and that's basically, did you follow the submission rules? You get 3 points each for putting the application in, for each of those bullet points. Did you put the application in essay form? You do get 3 points if the local government is the applicant. You have opportunity to make up that if it isn't, but we encourage that the local government is the applicant, because then the government is more likely to be aware of what is happening, and the project might be more become more of a reality if the local government is aware of those. So you can see what each of those, you know, did you submit the commitment form for everybody who's participating? Did you submit the consent form? And did you submit for each participant? And did you submit the participant spreadsheet? So you get 3 points for submitting everything you're supposed to submit for each document. If you don't submit one of those, you get 0. So for that particular document. So this is 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, and so on. And then the bonus points, you get 1 point extra if you reference other community planning efforts that are happening in your community, and how My Community, My Vision will help build on those efforts. So let's say that your community has a comprehensive plan and they're working on a trail, and you guys decide that you want to put in little lending libraries along the trail. I'm totally making this up. But you would get an extra point for telling me about that in the essay. If there's more than one adult leader for the My Community, My Vision group, you'll get an extra point, and you'll get an extra point if your My Community, My Vision group has already worked on other projects together and you mention that in your essay. Okay, just a couple more slides. These are the communities that have participated in the My Community, My Vision program in the past. If your community is on here, that's probably okay. You can still participate again. Let's just have a short conversation about it, and my contact information is at the end of this webinar. This is this year's participants. Again, same thing. It's possible that you could still participate if you are a different group from that's participating this year, and we can talk about that. I just wanted to quickly kind of go over some of the past program successes. We've had 6 plans that are adopted out of local governments. That's out of about 30 plans. Rushville was able to do a couple different projects because and this was before we had funding. Last year was the first year we had funding for projects. So that Rushville was before we even had funding, but they were actually able to implement some of their projects. They expanded a farmer's market with SNAP benefits. And also a former My Community, My Vision graduate student, while they were in school, actually got a job in Rushville, and they helped implement the My Community, My Vision plan in their community. And then they incorporated it into a Stellar Community Proposal, which is another program I oversee here at IHCA. Greensburg, Anderson, and Shelbyville, they all found grant funding outside of the My Community, My Vision program to implement projects in their plans. Again, those were prior to the $5,000 being offered. Irvington was able to implement pieces of their My Community, My Vision program into their overall curriculum in their classroom moving forward. So they took concepts of the My Community, My Vision program and made it part of their social studies class. And then Logansport, they completed one project, and then they started working on another project in their plan even before the program year was over last year. The submission deadline is Monday, September 9th. This is my contact information. You should submit all the information in a PDF except for the participant spreadsheet. That's an Excel spreadsheet. You can keep it in Excel, that's fine. Again, we'll announce them on September 13th, and you should plan on holding the date of September 28th in case you decide to participate in the program. And this is my contact information. This is the link to to our website, that snapshot that I showed you in a previous slide. This is where all the application materials. There's also a flyer that you can download that summarizes all the information I just said onto one piece of paper so that you can print it out and show other people. I'm also more than happy to answer any emails and phone calls about the program if you want me to, and we can talk about it one-on-one. Okay, and I believe that I don't see any questions written. And so we are going to go ahead and conclude the webinar. Like I said, I will have these on our website at least by the end of the week, hopefully by the end of the day. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and thank you for participating.